Since its inception in 2001, the Red Bull X Fighters World Tour has gathered a huge international following. The jumps, tricks and routines have got higher, harder and more radical every season. Over the past few years, Dany Torres has been one of the tour's top riders.
The best thing about freestyle is that I enjoy myself so much. It's just what happens when I get on a bike. Straight away, I start having fun, and that's what I love most. The worst thing about it, and about any sport, is the injuries. When you fall off, when you hurt yourself and feel the pain, when your body just doesn't feel right.
Despite breaking both feet at the beginning of last year, 2011 turned out to be a remarkable season for DT, as the Spaniard won the X Fighters World Tour title for the first time. Transworld Sport met up with Dany recently in his hometown of Arahal in southern Spain. The 25-year-old gave us a quick tour of the area before taking us to meet the man behind his success, his father Ramon. Torres Sr. was a talented footballer when he was younger, but he too suffered a foot injury, which ended his playing career. As a result, Ramon switched his focus to Dany and his love of motorbikes.
Pretty much ever since we began, the only person who has touched his bikes has been me. He doesn't train or even get on his bike until I say it's perfectly ready for him. The truth is that he's never been to train or compete on his own. I'm always there. I always go with him. If I can't be there for some reason, then Dany won't go out and train. I have to be there for him to train. That's just how it is. In one way, I think that's a good thing. But on the other hand, perhaps if I'm not able to be around, it will be good for him to have confidence in another mechanic. But up until now, ever since he began, all those years ago, I'm the only person who touches his bike.
Since I first started out in motorsport, my father's been my friend, my mechanic, my manager. He's taken me all over the place to train or to compete. I have 100% confidence in him and everything he does. He organizes everything for me. He prepares everything for me. And the truth is that we have a really sound relationship, a really good one. And there's a great sense of trust between us both as well.
Ramon's basement is where all the work goes on to make sure that DT can perform at his best in competitions around the world. Dany lives just across the road from his father, and his own house is where the fruits of all that labour are on show.
You've seen my dad's place, so check out mine. These are just some of my favourite trophies. This is the first one I ever won in my motocross career. It's just a little trophy, but I love it. And there are different ones from the Red Bull X Fighters like London. And this one from Madrid. And a Mexican hat as well. Good for my next holiday there.
Despite Dany's ongoing foot problems, practice continues regardless. Not necessarily because he's so competitive, but because he feels the need to ride.
What makes me most happy is being with my family and getting on my motorbike. If I spend a week without riding, I feel a bit sad, not in a good state of mind.
Ramon built most of this circuit himself to allow his son to train close to home.
It's about 7 years we've had this circuit here. We did it ourselves because it was easier to have different things and obstacles that we wanted. And to be able to prepare for nearly all the things you see at all the other circuits as well.
Dany may be a world-class rider, but that doesn't afford him any special favours, which means he can't avoid any of the more mundane chores when he trains.
Every single time before we train, we come out and look at the circuit. It's important to make sure everything's okay and to hose it down a bit so that there's no dust, and also just to get into the feel of it a bit.
Dany?
Although the circuit was originally built for Dany, he also uses it as a base for his own freestyle motocross academy. He helps young riders from the region to develop, with the hope of being able to follow him onto the international circuit. When we filmed with Torres, he was still struggling slightly with his feet, but he wasn't holding back.
After an accident, it is a little difficult when you get back on the motorbike. You have a bit more respect, not fear, but respect. Just from understanding that you can do yourself harm when you do get back on the bike. But as you keep on practicing, each time you go out on the motorbike after an injury, it gets a little easier. And then eventually you do get back the confidence you had before.
That confidence appears to have returned. Dany's gravity-defying performance belies his fragile physical state. Dany Torres' attitude to his sport and to life is summed up by one of his many tattoos.
I have loads of tattoos. This one looks a bit like the Joker, but it's meant to be a girl's face. At the bottom it says, "Where some see fear, I find fun." It's there because people are always asking me about the fear factor in freestyle motocross. And I think that we all have fun doing freestyle, so that's why I got the tattoo done.
Earlier this year, Dany undertook a new venture. He opened his own cafe in Arahal called La Volada.
Come in and let me tell you all about the place. The bar's all made of wood to give it that rustic feel that's typical of the area. And this afternoon we have a bit of flamenco going on, which is also typical of the region here in Andalusia.
Flamenco isn't just for tourists. For many young people around here, it's just as popular as hip-hop or R&B.
Flamenco is strongly associated with Andalusia, and in particular Seville. It's for all types of people of all ages. It's beautiful music, and it's entertaining too.
On the X Fighters tour, Dany Torres is as hard-charging as the best of them, but at home in Andalusia, he lives life at a very different pace.
Family is the most important thing for any sportsman. I'm lucky enough that my father, my mother and my brother all support me 100%. And I think that is what allows me to get better and to move on in my sport. Because if you have your family behind you, it's much easier than if you were doing it all on your own.
After finishing the 2012 X Fighters season in third place, Torres hopes to be fully fit next year and is determined to regain his title. And don't bet against this high-flying Spaniard doing just that.